Hello, you metal pilgrims, and welcome to the new episode of our interview series. On January 29th, the world will first hear Tribulation's new studio album, Where the Gloom Becomes Sound. And so I had a pleasure of welcoming Tribulation's frontman Johannes Andersson and speak about the creative process behind the album, departure of Jonathan, and welcoming a new guitar player, Joseph, the atmosphere in the band, the state of metal, touring, and much, much more. But as always, before we start, and especially if you're new to the channel, I'd like to take a moment and invite you to join the conversation and subscribe to Metal Pilgrim channel on YouTube, join our communities on Instagram, Facebook, or any other social media you actually hang out at to be able to submit your questions for all future interview guests. Be among the very first ones to find out what is inside the latest rock and metal releases and for more exclusive rock and metal content. Here you go. Hey man, how's it going? How's it going? How is everything?
I'm doing well. I just ate my dinner here in Sweden and came back from work, and it's snowy outside, but it's not that cold, so it's kind of, wet outside.
Yeah, we finally got some snow over here in Kiev as well. We were snowless for entire winter. Now finally,
it's nice, right?
Yeah, it is. It's so beautiful, and I have a 3-year-old daughter who finally had to, slate.
Yeah,
so that's a lot of fun.
Same here. Mine is 1.5. And,
nice.
Last winter, her first winter was very, very gray and boring.
Yeah, same here, man. Absolutely.
But this year, she's been riding her sleigh as well.
That's good. How's the pandemic stuff? How are you guys coping?
Well, I mean, second wave was totally more serious in Sweden. I don't know if you heard about Sweden's, how we handled our situation. Every country handles it by themselves, I guess. But yeah, it's definitely more serious this second wave.
Yeah,
for sure. Now, like 2 weeks ago. Finally, we started with the masks, in public transportation. So
yeah,
that have been voluntary up till now.
No, it's super strict over here. So, but yeah. That's true, man. All right, let's go to the music stuff because I don't want to keep you too busy for too long, man. Tribulation's next studio album, Where the Gloom Becomes Sound, is out on January 29th. Congrats on finishing it up. The upcoming release, especially given the lineup changes you guys experienced. It could have been a glitch there. But could you talk a little bit about its writing and recording process? How did all of this began and kind of formed into this final version, which we hear?
To really begin, I think we did quite many tours on Down Below, our previous album, and we just felt it's about that time again to make another one. I don't know why. Maybe we didn't have anything much planned, and we felt, well, let's make a record. Let's start, and kind of typical from us. We do demos before to show each other. We aren't really any rehearsal room band. We do own a rehearsal room, of course, but time is scarce, and people have families and wives, so rehearsing is not priority number one. So doing demos by ourselves is way smooth, and so Jonathan, he did a lot of them. He's always like that. He could make 4 or 5 songs in a week, and they're all good. So he really. We all took some time before entering the studio to try to finishing up some songs, or at least present some ideas or song ideas. And we entered the studio in April last year, 2020, and we stayed for 2 months. And yeah, as I said, we selected out of all of Jonathan's songs, we ended up selecting 7, and then 3 out of Adam, and they are the 2 main songwriters. So
okay, yeah,
it's a bit more of Jonathan's songs on this album actually.
That's
usually it's 50-50, but yeah.
Yeah, so Joseph, who just replaced Jonathan, pretty much, he wasn't participating in the songwriting for this one yet.
No, he didn't. No, he came after when Jonathan decided to leave. But he did provide us. Me and Adam, we wanted help with one of Adam's songs, the first track of the album, In Remembrance. So we went to Joseph and Robert's studio, and they helped us a bit with getting that song together, and we recorded a demo for it in that studio. So
okay, makes sense.
He's always on some corner. Joseph is helping. It feels like
that's good. Good to hear, man. Since you started talking about this, you addressed the issue about Jonathan's departure from the band. I think we kind of have to address it at this point. How unexpected was it for you, man? I mean, for you as a band, right? Did you guys see that coming and have had a chance to prepare for it, or it was just like a?
Nah, I mean, I have to say, from my point of view, it wasn't a surprise to me. Of course, it's all bands have their struggles, but it feels like I had my personal vibe coming off Jonathan the last year was kind of not so positive. It's been, when we've been talking only me and him, it's been kind of dark and gray, like, why are we doing this? And
really?
Is there any future in this? And, question it, I guess. And so, no, it wasn't a surprise. But still, of course, it is a huge thing because he's been with us from the start.
Absolutely.
So it is strange times right now. And they still gonna be, I mean, it's gonna last for a while, I guess. But we all already very quickly found a replacement. So I'm also positive, but it's hard to say about Jonathan because right now the pandemic is happening still, and so you haven't really felt his absence.
It's true. You didn't go on the tour yet, right? It's so different.
So it is quite fresh still. I don't know how I will react in a year, maybe when I've done a tour without him. But all that said, I'm happy for him that he finally came to his decision, because it's not hard at all. It's super hard to leave such a long relationship.
Absolutely.
It's the same in marriage or girlfriends.
Yeah, but if he's not happy, no point of holding him there against his will, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's kind of, it works like this, right? And as I understand, you and Joseph have been, friends for a long time, right? He's an old friend of yours. He's from the same town, as I understand. So there's no need to get used to each other on one hand. On the other hand, I think you would agree with me that the sound and the whole process might change with the new lead guitarist, right? I mean, what do you think? And the question is the following: how do you think, it will change? Will he bring something new to the band, and in terms of the sound or the process of the songwriting process overall?
Yeah, definitely. Just to finish off the previous conversation, no. I just want to put in that I mean, Jonathan's happiness goes before everything as a friend.
Yes.
I'd rather see him happy as a friend than unhappy as a colleague, in the band. But Joseph is, I'm really anxious to hear what we can cook up with him, because as you said, we've been friends forever. He is my oldest friend, actually. We know each other since we were toddlers, and so he's been, he's the same age, and we grew up and we went to the same schools, and our parents are friends, and blah blah blah. So we've been, playing music all our lives together, but never in Tribulation together. I mean, I've always had a project with Joseph the current project is called CC Company, where I play the drums, for example. And Adam, played with Enforcer when Joseph was there as well. Yeah. So the member switch is very, very smooth in that way. It's no getting to know some 20-year-old guitar god just because, it has to be someone close to the band.
Yes.
Otherwise we would probably need more time or a break to think things through thoroughly, I guess. But yeah, he's got the same taste as us, Joseph, and he's of course gonna bring that into Tribulation, and he's a really good songwriter. I don't know if you heard his solo albums.
I did. I was able after he joined. I actually went online and looked for it.
Yeah, and it's he has the same kind of music language, I guess. The melancholic, sad tones, kind of, and that's what Tribulation is all about usually. So I'm just very anxious to see how much it's gonna differ from when Jonathan was making songs in Tribulation. I mean, of course, it's gonna be a difference.
Absolutely,
that's a no-brainer. But I'm looking forward to see where the new Tribulation will end up in sound. I can't say. I know you asked about it, but
it was more of a rhetorical, philosophical question. Yeah, and
but be sure, I'm very confident that it's going to be sounding a lot like Tribulation. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't put out any more albums if we lost that kind of root sound. Everyone should hear that it's a Tribulation album.
Absolutely.
At least on the second song when they put on an album. So.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. And speaking about this album and influences, we already started about this. I was able to listen to the album a bit earlier than most of other mortal human beings on this earth, and I gotta say that it's extremely cohesive and a very well-rounded record, right? So I loved it personally. I think you guys did an amazing job on this one. Yeah. And what do you think? I mean, where did you guys look for inspiration for this one, right? Any particular bands that are different from what you did before? And how much you think actually the pandemics, because you started recording in April, right? I mean, how much did the pandemics also influence the overall sound and the lyrics of it?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think the pandemic had anything to do with it. I mean, as I said in the beginning, Sweden took the pandemic quite easy in the start, so we didn't get that alarmed. But of course we are also citizens of the world, so we, everyone tackles it on their own way. But it didn't, affect the lyrics or songs. The songs were already kind of made before the breakouts even. But so no, the pandemic. What was the second one again you asked about?
And maybe any particular bands that you guys. Yeah.
Hard to say. I mean, of course, I try to pick up new bands that I haven't picked up yet still, but we suck at that. we kind of stick to the recipe we made for ourselves. I mean, and that's always very interesting and exciting for ourselves, actually, that we don't know where we're gonna end up sound wise, or how it's gonna be reflected later. But I mean, it's so hard. Jonathan, sometimes it feels like we get inspired from ourselves as well, from previous albums, actually.
It's interesting, yeah.
But it's the same kind of inspiration sources as ever. It's horror, myth, magic, and all the strange creatures out there, and all the folk tales that different cultures have. And yeah.
It's pretty interesting. Yeah, thanks. No, it's a good one. And you've got I usually don't ask questions about individual songs, but this one I just have to, right? You've got one instrumental piece, Lethe, right? I'm not exactly sure if I pronounce it right on the record, but I gotta say, while it definitely stands out, it works great as a bridge between two slightly different, actually, parts of the album, in my personal opinion, and kind of lays the foundation for the second one. And it's placed exactly in the middle. And was it done on purpose? Because it reminded me, I'm a huge vinyl geek, right? So I have like all the records, and I actually listen music on those still. And thanks.
Me too.
Yeah, and it reminds me of the older days when bands would put melancholic ballads right in the end of the first side, so you would actually have to pick up, switch the record, or put tape days. You had to switch the cassette tape. And that piece would sink in your head and your memory, and the album would stand out. Was it done on purpose or not?
Actually, no. I mean, we are also vinyl geeks, or
Maybe
prefer vinyl. Yeah, but I do own a lot of CDs as well. Yeah. But yeah, no, it just ended up there. I mean, making the track list is always hard. I'd say, but. This album wasn't that hard, actually. It kind of, laid itself down. But I remember that song, Lethe, that was actually one track before, for a brief moment when we couldn't decide. So it was actually track 4 instead of 5, as it is now. Yeah. But that made it too early. We noticed after a while listening to it, and I do agree about the sides. It's a bit like the A side is maybe more experimental and maybe more slow, and then the B side is the rocker side, kind of.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah,
faster songs and tempos. So I guess that is traditional in a lot of classical albums as well. But no, it wasn't intentional, actually. It just happened to be like that.
Then I gotta give you praise, man. Maybe subconsciously you did an amazing job on track listing. I think it's...
Thank you.
This is partially why the album is so cohesive, right? It just flows, and you can listen it on one breath. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
But that's always been important for us, that, once you put on track 1, we have to get you in the grip of Tribulation.
It has to flow.
And so far, I think we managed quite good. And it's the same with live set lists. You can't just play all the songs like here and there. You have to really think how you put them to keep the focus from the listener, I guess.
Makes sense. Absolutely. And while we're talking about individual songs, do you have a favorite one on the record, or it's like a favorite kid question?
Of course, I should have a favorite one, but I have to. I mean, first of all, I haven't listened that much myself. Since,
really?
No, it's the same thing every time. You get so fed up with the album.
It's true. While once you work on it,
and mastering and shit, it's like, oh man. So I'm currently in that break, so I'm gonna pick it up soon. But I think actually the first track, In Remembrance, has become right now spontaneously it's my favorite track.
That's interesting.
Maybe because it's a bit different from the others. It's something we haven't done before, I'd say. It's way more poppy in a sense, and or catchy, I guess. But it has so many elements, the intro and the choruses are catchy as hell, and the solo is amazing. So, and I remember that was one of the songs, you kind of question a bit when we did it, because we always push ourselves. I mean, if we don't push ourselves, nothing's going to change and nothing's going to evolve, you know. So it always seems like you're on some kind of edge, and you're very close to the edge, and that's when it's good. You can't go over the edge, and you can't be too far from the edge, because then it's boring or too fucked up if you're over the edge, you know.
Sure, man.
So yeah, and that song is on the edge, I'd say, for me at least. So yeah, it's the newest Tribulation, I guess, for me. What we haven't done before.
Yeah, but I think it still works great, you know, in the overall album sound. It just opens the gates, kind of presents that you guys are changing and it's okay, and then and then you have the whole diversity which we just talked about just a moment ago. I mean,
that song, of course, was the opening track when we finished all the songs.
100%.
It made
100%. Yeah, I agree with you.
Made sense.
Absolutely, man. I don't want to keep you too busy, man. I'm conscious of your time, so just a couple of more questions, if you don't mind. So, what are some goals you guys set for yourself this year? Any plans to support, you know, the album with the tour, and while you cannot go on tour, with maybe some, I don't know, online stuff, which I respect, but I cannot still.
Yeah, I mean, it's been quite hectic working with the album. Lately, a lot of music videos and photos and interviews, of course, but we haven't really properly given live stream any thought. It's been up for discussion, but you know, it's also about this pandemic. How long is it gonna take for it to end? If it stays the whole this year, you know, 2021, then of course we're probably going to do a live stream, I'd say, or two, who knows. But yeah, we had to move a tour, of course, that we had planned January, February. Now we moved it to the fall, to September. So I mean, the closest thing is the summer festivals, but they also, of course, everyone's just guessing, you know. No one knows if they are going to happen. So
we all have to keep our fingers crossed and pray that this thing will get, you know, out of the way already. But all have to do our parts. Wear masks. Wash your hands. Don't be stupid, people. I mean, just let's get it over with. Yeah.
But it's also kind of good timing in that sense, because we have a new member. So I mean, we have plenty of time to rehearse with him, for example. Okay. And I don't know, who knows, maybe do an EP or something, just to get starting on the songs with him, on new songs even.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, I can't promise anything. It's just speculation.
It's true.
But
it's true, man.
In the lack of live shows, maybe a stream will appear.
Okay, makes sense. And who are your personal vocal heroes? If you would have to choose one, you know, vocalist, who would that be?
Man, that's hard.
I know.
I mean, there's so many good, but I can't say, you know, Bruce Dickinson or Pete Steele, or it has to be. Yeah, I mean, I do like early David Vincent, but I don't like him that much later. But I always liked those thrash metal singers, you know, Mille Petrossa and a couple of Swedish guys that really had this clean, extreme growl, you know, that I liked. But I don't know. If I have to choose one, I mean, Johnny Cash could even be the one, you know, or Jim Morrison. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting, man.
Doesn't have to be metal, you know.
That's true. And speaking about not metal, what is your one guilty pleasure in terms of music? I mean, what do you blast when you're like wasted, which is not metal? Backstreet Boys, Spice Girls, Selena Gomez. What is it?
I mean, I don't take shame in music at all.
It's gonna be something fun now. Then.
But sometimes when we've been drunk, you know, the guys from our town that we grew up with, there's this old, you know, I don't know, MTV hits and Swedish disco shit that just got stuck in your head. I don't know, Ace of Base.
The whole Europe thanks you for that, because it got stuck in each of the Europeans' head for a long time.
Yeah, but you know, those one-hit wonders that you saw on TV when you were a kid. Yeah. Sometimes you have a YouTube party and just listen and watch their music videos.
It makes sense, man. As I said, I don't want to keep you too busy. So the last question, this is something we usually do to close the episode. If you could share just one crazy touring story from all of your life, just remember one show that you know that really stuck out, or just one story or one memory that you cherish. That would be great.
Okay, yeah. It was 3 years ago, Arch Enemy tour. We were supporting, and I think it was the second or the third show, and we got food poisoning. No, we got, we threw up at least a lot. So some kind of virus spread on this tour very early.
That sucks.
I think it was Stuttgart, somewhere in Germany at least, where, you know, we almost weren't able to play, but we all had buckets to puke in on stage.
Really, like,
and Jonathan, yeah, because we were almost passing out, and Jonathan actually had to go behind the amps to puke and lay down. He puked in his bucket and laid down behind the amps and played on his back.
Crap.
So
this is
that's, you have to do the show anyhow, you know.
Still, I mean,
people expect it.
Exactly. Someone had traveled. Some people, you know, traveled from other towns, maybe, and you gotta do it. You gotta do it, man.
Yeah. Fortunately, I didn't puke. I just puked a lot in the bus, but it didn't last that long. I think 2 days or something.
Okay. Good to hear that everyone's safe now, though, man. All right, Johannes, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate your time. Any last message for the fans, old and new ones? Anyone who's going to be watching us?
Be sure to pick up your copy of Where the Gloom Becomes Sound, of course, our latest or upcoming release. I don't know when this is aired, but
it's going to be aired before.
Thank you for your support if you do that.
Absolutely. Just a reminder, it's going to be out on January 29th. Very cohesive, a great record. Make sure you check it out. It's a wonderful one. Johannes, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate your time. Keep rocking, man.
Yeah, you too.
See you. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks, I appreciate it.